Is my mic on? Is my mic on? And we are back. Welcome to Don't Think Too Hard with eToy It's an Experience. Thank you so kindly for tuning in again to my podcast on mental health and spirituality, politics, education, everything under that umbrella. So today we have a special guest. We have a doctor in the house. Yes. We have an amazing, phenomenal woman in the house. She's doing amazing things in the community. We're going to get to her in a second. So before we open, we have to say a prayer because we got to bless this place, bless the frequency, bless the podcast, bless our guests, bless our listeners because we know that there are things that's out there, entities, energies, vibrations that's always going to try to stop us from doing what we need to do and show how we need to show up in this world. So let's get right to it. Ome tutu, ile tutu, ona tutu. Me fedafun to my ego, me fedafun to my ancestors. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you so much for opening the way. I am just in complete gratitude at this moment. Thank you for giving me the strength to show up and persevere throughout all the obstacles because you know what I go through just to get here every Thursday at 8 p.m. on time to give the good word of the Most High and the ancestors and our guides. Thank you for the medicine. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for the guidance. And please give me the words to say out of my mouth. Let my words be blessed. I give thanks. Thank you to my assigned guides and to my protectors. Thank you for guiding me and taking me on this being with me on this journey. Thank you for taking away the pain, the hurt. Thank you for guiding me in the right direction when there's obstacles coming in my way. I am greatly appreciative. Thank you to my Ori, to my higher self for directing me to my destiny and not shutting the gate on me. I know it is you that is my personal deity. And thank you for always setting me on the right path. And of course, and what should have been first, thank you to the Most High. Thank you for your breath of life in my lungs, because without the breath, without your breath in my body, we can't talk about nothing else, just like my Baba Olu always says. So I thank you. Thank you for letting me resurrect every single day to get it right once more. As long as there's a breath in my body, I'm going to show up and show out. Let this podcast be blessed. If there's anything in it that doesn't belong in here, remove it, close the doors, close the portals, and please let your children that's supposed to be here and get this good word make it to the podcast, whether it's live or whether they watch it recorded. I give thanks. Ashe, 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 yo. So we have a wonderful guest that's coming in today. Her name is Dr. Kim Sexton Lewter. Yes. I just want to give a brief introduction before I bring her on and before I say my piece of what I want to say. I am very ecstatic to have her on. I've known her since I was about 12 years old. She used to be my English teacher. Yes. I met her in Fort Greene. This is a time of my life when things were just so haywire. Um, my mother at 12 years old, yes, said get out of her house, call your father, or if your father don't come get you, I'm going to have the authorities come get you. If you still here by the time I get back, that's a whole nother story. But my father came and got me. Um, long story short, I moved to Brooklyn. I moved back to Brooklyn to Fort Greene. And it just so happens that she was one of my teachers. She has been such a staple in my life. She's a phenomenal woman. She is a black woman, an empress, a goddess, a queen. Do you hear me? And I was so grateful and so happy to have her in my life at that time because we all know you become a product of your environment. And children are sponges. Their brains and their minds are sponges, and they pick up behaviors from the environment that they are around. I'm so grateful and so thankful that I had her in my life at that time. Um, I was always a writer. One of my modalities to release pain and to heal was to write. From way back when, way back when. And it just so happens that when I met her, she's an English teacher. So moving forward, the next year came and I said to myself, her last name is Sexton. Her maiden last name. Her maiden last name is Sexton. I have family that's the Sextons. So we began to talk, come to find out we are related. This is how the universe works. The universe always says to me, you don't ever have to worry about anything. Your path is written before you. All you got to do is walk down it. Whatever is supposed to be in your life will show up. You don't have to chase. You don't have to run, grab. All you have to do is just be yourself and your tribe will show up. And she is my tribe. And she has helped me perfect my writing. Yes, as a teenager, as a little girl. I went on to Catholic school and my teachers used to say, you write so well. This is because of her. And let me tell you something. She is the bomb. She has sass and pizzazz. And and she mixed all that up with education. She knew how to reach the youth. She used to have shows, I say Broadway shows because I felt like I was on Broadway when I used to perform in her shows. She helped me get over my stage fright. I still had it as an adult, but not I don't have it anymore. But I could just go on and on and on and on and on about her. So I'm a double back right quick. I just had to give a brief introduction because I'm just so excited. And before I say one more, before I go on to what I really want to say, now she's running for state senate in North Carolina. I wish I had my machine. I would go "Beep, beep, 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 beep," because she deserves all the glory, all the glory. We need women like her to keep standing up and showing up in our community. So before I introduce her, um, everyone knows that I have a library. It's a little wet because I was blessing the floor. And right now I'm reading from the Browder Files, Volume 2, Survival Strategies for African Americans, 13 Steps to Freedom. Can you see it? Okay, this is what it is. So, oops. So, he gets real deep. He has a lot of essays within his findings, and he collaborates them and put them all in a book, which is amazing. So he talks about us as a melanin people, how we can free our mind, things of that nature, and how it happened through white supremacy, and racism and slavery, and how we still carry those traits with us. And he's going into deep, the 13 steps. So I'm just going to read a little brief excerpt and then I'm going to just touch on it. Then we're going to get right into it. So he talks about the pineal gland. And I want everyone to know how powerful the pineal gland is. The pineal gland, once you tap into it, you can heal yourself. You can heal ailments in your body. And it takes work. It definitely takes work. And I also want to say that depending on the kind of life that you live, you're gonna have to do even more work, especially like when we certain toothpaste that you brush your teeth with. Um, it destroys our pineal gland. We must use. I recommend to use all natural toothpaste. Um, Let me just go into it. The pineal gland is a small gland in the middle of the brain. Throughout an early 20th century, medical schools taught their students that it was a vestigial sensory organ that served no known purpose. This belief was based upon a study of Europeans whose pineal gland was found to calcify in 85% of the population. When pineal research was broadened to include people of African ancestry, it was discovered that they had a pineal calcification rate of only 15%. Within the last 20 years, the medical community has revised its opinion of pineal gland. While the function is not fully understood, it is regarded by many as the master gland in the body because of the hormones it secretes are essential for normal human development. It is interesting to note that during the 1980s, public discussions of melatonin, and the pineal gland were often limited to a handful of African American scholars who held an annual melanin conferences. Their research was often regarded as pseudo-scientific, I hope I said that correctly, and ignored by the mainstream European scientists for over a decade. However, in 1995, there was an explosion of an interest of melatonin, and dozens of European scientists began touting it as the wonder drug of the ages. You heard that? The pineal gland that we was born with. Throughout 1995, various publications and television and radio programs informed the public of melatonin's ability to retard the aging process, regulate sleeping patterns, improve sex performance, and improve health vitality and longevity. Because of media attention, the public's interest of melatonin and the function of the pineal gland interests substantially, while medical sciences has yet to fully understand the various functions of the melatonin body. It has acknowledged that insufficient amounts of melatonin causes the body and the mind to degenerate and at an accelerated rate, and thus inhabits its performance. So I read that because when I was going through my depression, I was in the house. I did not go outside. That's when my mental started to deteriorate. That's when I started getting anxiety. Um, it just was a lot of things going on that should not have been going on. I kept saying to myself, what happened? I'm the strong one. Everyone always come to me. And I just wanted to say that we are equipped with everything that we need. The Most High have created us in the likes of his image to be able to heal ourselves and be able to regenerate ourselves. Go within, tap into you. If you feel like you're having such a bad day, a hard day, put some water on your head. Put some water on the middle of your head and in the back of your head, and just meditate. And try to do that every day. And only think about the things that you want, not the things that you don't want. I challenge you to do that. And let me know how your life go. It could be within 1 week, you'll see major changes. So with that being said, let's move right along. Let's get into Kim Sex Doctor Dr. Kim Sexton Lewter. Let me read her bio. Dr. Kim Sexton Lewter is a dedicated wife, mother, aunt, daughter, sister, niece, cousin, friend, and woman of faith. She has spent over 30 years in the field of education, serving as a teacher, health educator, social justice advocate, and a community organizer. Originally from Brooklyn, this young middle school English teacher married and moved to North Carolina in 1996 with her husband to pursue their graduate degrees. 28 years later, they proudly still call North Carolina their home. Although she is no longer a traditional classroom teacher, Dr. Sexton Lewter considers herself forever an educator, using the world as her classroom. She has a passion for helping others and has dedicated her career to promoting health and well-being, championing the rights of underserved and ensuring access to all public services and institutions of power. Dr. Sexton Lewter has an impressive educational background. She earned a PhD in leadership studies from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, as well as a master's degree in public health and conflict resolution from University of North Carolina, Greensboro. She also holds a post-bachelor certification in African American Studies and Conflict and Peace Studies. She earned her bachelor's degree in English education from the State University of New York at Onta. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. In her professional career, Dr. Sexton Lewter spent nearly 20 years as a college health administrator and community organizer at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. She also served as an adjunct faculty for the Department of Public Health Education. Currently, she is the director of the Families During the Time program at the Center for Community Transitions, working to strengthen families and support individuals dealing with incarceration and deportation of their loved ones. Outside of her professional life, Dr. Sexton Lewter is a loving wife and mother. She has been married to Justin Lewter for 28 years, and they live in Kannapolis for the past 18 years of them. Together, they have 5 adult children who are all college graduates pursuing their dreams. Family is incredibly important to her as she takes great pride in family they have created together. Without further ado, let me welcome to the stage Dr. Kim Sexton Luda. How are you?
I am well. Hello, 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 everyone. What a wonderful introduction. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. And as you gave the history of me being your English teacher from seventh grade, I just want you to know that I am equally as proud to be here and to be interviewed by that young little girl that I met so many years ago. And so it's just a shared experience here where we are both just kind of basking in the glow of this glow up for the both of us. So I love it. I love it.
I say, I give thanks. Thank you again. I told you already, but I'm going to say it again. I just want to say thank you, and I'm completely humble for you coming on my podcast. So I want to get right into it. I know I read your bio, but who is Dr. Kim Sexton Luda?
Okay, so who is Dr. Kim Sexton Lewter? She is still Kimmy from the block, and I think that's important that we put that out there. So I am Kim Sexton. That is how you met me, and I hail from the streets of Brooklyn, New York. And I have a very similar background to many of the young people that I have worked with throughout my life. And so, yeah, I am you. That's who I am. I am you, probably just 30 years older, or actually 20 years older, because you were just 12 when we met, and I was 22. But
Yes.
yeah, so I am, I'm a wife, a mom, a sister, a big sister, a friend, and a neighbor. Just a typical girl from Brooklyn who has always had her mind set that I wanted things to be better. I just always wanted things to be better. And that's me.
Ashe. Why is education so important to you?
Ooh, education, because it is truly uh, the great equalizer. It is. It is your way out. For me, as a young woman growing up in the projects in Brooklyn in a single parent home, school was my escape. In school, I got
Mm,
to be something different than what was going on at home. And I loved school. I loved school. I loved the different opportunities that I had at school. I happened to do well in school naturally. And it was my refuge, at the time. And so I wholeheartedly believe in education because there's just no limits to where it can take you when you can capitalize off it and use it to propel yourself.
Ashe. Thank you for that. I want to, because you're so motivating. Your story, black woman that has triumphed through adversity and said, "This is what I want. This is what I'm going for, and nothing's going to hold me back." Um, can you tell me what is it like as a woman, as a mother? a wife, a daughter, a friend, just a great supporter, period, overall, to have self love for yourself to go for your dreams?
Mm. So, can I tell you what it's like? Let me tell you, self love. Um, I hate to say it, but you ain't born with it. And so it is actually something that I had to learn. I had to learn. I had to learn the importance
Mm,
of it. And I will say that honestly, when I did finally learn it, um, it definitely changed me. It changed my outlook and it changed how other people perceive you. And so, I tell people all the time,
mm,
I have always been the person people either love me or they hate me. There is no in between. People will sing my praises or they will talk about me like I am yesterday's trash and somebody forgot to take it out. And that has always been my experience. But one thing I learned is that I have that effect on people, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I couldn't let it make me because I was too much of a people pleaser and cared too much about what people thought about me. And so early in my evolution, early in my evolution, I kind of started feeling like, you know, as an 80s girl, I was all that in a bag of chips. And I didn't feel like other people thought that. But once I started to act like that, people started treating me like that. And I just found that interesting. Like, people were, if I walked around like my stuff didn't stink, people treated me like my stuff didn't stink. And I started to realize that what I put out there is what I get back. And so, as long as I was doubting myself and not confident and just actually being human, and I'm still human, but as long as I had that self doubt, that's what I was carrying with me. And that's what I was projecting to the world. And that's what was coming back to me. And so when I started deciding that, you know what, I matter, and I might be the only one that matters in this moment, and it ain't nothing wrong with that, things started to change. Now, I will say that that's not something I learned at 10. That's not something I learned at 22. That's not something I learned at even 30. I was well into my womanhood status before I really understood that I had to love myself before I could even expect the kind of love that I deserved.
give thanks. Everything you said was so profound and resonates so much, and I know there are individuals that can resonate with that as well, because me, I had to learn that you're absolutely right. That's you're not born with that, you know. But what I did learn is that when I show up as myself, like you said, everyone else saw me as myself. When I stopped being a people pleaser, and I said on a podcast a couple of episodes ago, I had to learn how to start saying no to everyone else and yes to myself.
Yes.
No to everyone else and yes to myself. Because if I don't show up for me, I can't show up for anyone else. If I don't show up for me, then I can't show up for the community. And you are the epitome of that. Like, you had to say, let me stop, let me take a breath, and let me show up for me. Let me go back and do these things here that's on my heart so I can show up for the community. And now you're just, you always was all that in the bag of chips. you know,
But I just didn't
but
believe it. But I
you
just
just
didn't
taking it
believe
to
it.
but you're taking it to the next level. What does community lead mean to you? Because you're a community organizer now, you're running for state senate. What does that mean to you?
So for me, I think that um, community is pretty much what you make it. And I kind of pride myself on being a leader and an active participant in any community that I actually exist in. And I truly understand that the community is only as healthy as the individuals in it. And so, as a leader in the community, it's important for me to project the things that we expect out of community. And so I truly believe we're all connected. There's nothing that is happening to me and happening to someone else that doesn't tie into each other. It's like for us to recognize that we are all just a little part of this greater whole. And so, what I do for this community and what I put into this community is what I'm doing for myself. And it's actually a little bit selfish because at the end of the day, I want to live in an environment where I can prosper and get all of those things that I need out of it. So I have to make sure that that's what I'm putting into it. And so, you know, you can't be a part of and be separate at the same time. You have to recognize that if your neighbor is hurting, then you're hurting. You can't sit and be happy or, and feel unaffected by what's going on next door. And so I kind of really just recognize that we're all connected and I have to be those things that I expect out of others. And so in this community, it's important that I am a reflection of these things that I am expecting and trying to achieve.
I like that. You said I had, I'm taking notes over here. You said community is only as healthy as the individuals in it. That was powerful. That was very powerful, and kudos to you for saying, I'm in this community and let me do something about it. A lot of people would just sit at the side and they would just complain, or you know they won't be a part of the solution. um or some people would try to be a part of the solution but don't have any outlets or don't have the education, don't have the resources, things of that nature. And that's what I mean about how you just persevere through no matter what obstacles are in front of you. You just say, you know what, this is the problem, I see a solution, but I think I'm gonna have to take the helm on this one. That's a true born leader. um so I'm not sure if I'm able to talk about your campaign, but I wanted to ask you, what made you want to run for Senate? Like, was you a part of politics before, or like, how what was that journey like?
So I have always been on the community organizing side of politics. And so I like to tell people that I was one of those folks who will give the politicians the business. I like to give them the business and make sure that we're holding them accountable, and that if you are there to represent us, then why don't I see us in the decisions being made? And so on that community organizing side, there's a lot of advocacy. There's a lot of of social action and trying to get people involved to kind of recognize that these people are supposed to be representing us. So we've got to give them some direction, because I truly believe in co-governance, and you can't be that representation for someone and you don't have a fair representation of who I am. You don't have a clear, you don't know my voice. And so in organizing and working with people, I've always been that person to kind of organize the folks to, like, I don't like what's going on in our subdivision. So I went to an HOA meeting and complained and came back the president of the HOA. It's like, that's just kind of how it works. And so when it comes to this particular position and running for Senate, I just didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like what I was hearing. And as I became more knowledgeable of our local politics and how things work, I realized that I needed to be the change that we were looking for. So many people don't even know their local Senate district. They don't know who their mayor is. They don't know who a county commissioner is. They certainly don't know who their state senator is. They might know who uh, their national, who their big senator is if they pay a lot of attention. But so many of them, they just don't know. And as we try to get people to pay attention to the smaller politics, those people down at the ballot, I started realizing that it's also important that you know those people. It's like we have so many people in office that we do not even know, and we don't have any idea um, where they come from, what their background is. And so I decided that I wanted to break that. I wanted people to see their neighbor run to be their state senator. I wanted people to recognize me as, hey, isn't that Jaya and Jayla and Jasmine's mom, who she was like the track mom or the volleyball mom, or she was this and that, because we need to have fair representation. Currently in our district, our state senator, I mean, if I wasn't running, I wouldn't know who he is. He makes deals with big business, and um, and then we're just kind of like chicken scratch. And it's time. It's too common that is the case. And I decided that, again, I was going to be the change that we needed. Folks talked to me. I was not thinking about running, not for no state senate. I thought about smaller politics, like perhaps city council, school board, or other places, start small, kind of learn how this worked. But having a conversation with folks, and I started listening, how you said a little earlier about people, feeling like they didn't have the education or the experience. Heck, these people ain't got no education and experience to do this. They just do what they want to do. And a lot of the times it has a lot to do with corporate money and corporate greed and other people finding opportunities to lace their pockets. And by being that person in the state, you are helping this corporation get the kind of deals and getting the type of contracts that they want, but they're not in it to be a representation of the people who actually live in their district. And I knew that in order for us to have that, it was going to take an everyday person, somebody who understands what it's like to have to go to work every day. Somebody who pays a mortgage, somebody who pays a car note. You would just not believe some of these folks who kind of, they're very wealthy. They live off their portfolio. They do this politics things because it's, advantageous for them and the different corporations that they are affiliated with, not because of the community and the people that they live in with. And so I'm just trying to be that change. I'm trying to be the true person, kind of bringing I recently watched Shirley Chisholm had a little bio on Netflix, and she talked about putting the people back in politics. And so that's where I am. I'm trying to be a fair representation of the people and making sure that it is the people that we are considering when we are making laws and passing legislation, and not the dollars and how we're going to help this corporation do this, that, and a third.
I had to put myself on mute for a second. That was a mouthful, and that was amazing. What's your advice, to women? Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for doing the work that you do. Thank you for representing women like me. Thank you for representing women like me in my demographics. With my children who's still in public school. Thank you. Thank you for being that voice, because everyone is not able to actually stand behind their mouth. A lot of people have a lot of things to say and how they feel, but some people are afraid. Some people are afraid of the backlash. Some people are afraid of to stand up against the odds. And you are truly taking this by the reins and saying, no, I am the people. I know how it feels to get up and go to work every day. I know how it feels to be a mom, a wife, like you said, pay mortgage and have to pay taxes and things of that nature. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it's important that our politicians know that as well. And that is the thing, is like we need to have people sitting in these seats of power who have those experiences, so that when you're writing legislation and you're trying to pass it, you have these things in mind. But if you don't recognize, if you don't pay a mortgage and you just bought the car, or you just inherited everything that you have, and you never understand the hustle, you don't understand how you are impacting the people that you supposedly represent, when you're just out there, living your best life and not considering that everybody does not have the opportunities that you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Wow. um so I have another question. What is your advice to women? Because I have some women on here, and I always I say it to the men too. But this today I'm coming from a woman's perspective. What advice do you have for women that has lived their life, meaning raised their children and um never put themselves first, always had dreams or things that they wanted to do for themselves to make themselves happy. Whether that's going back to be a nurse, hint hint, Lady P. I know she's watching. Things of that nature, and has dealt with obstacles of always being, the giver. Everyone always takes. This is for women across the board, period. Because as a woman, we wear many hats. We are wife. If we're married, we the mom. You know, uh, we are a CEO. We the accountant. We the we the maintenance. we're troubleshooting. Women. Some women is running off of zero energy 24 hours a day. And I ask you that because of all of your accolades and all of the obstacles that you have pushed through. What's your advice to them?
So my advice would be to take care of you first. To take care of you first. You can be of no assistance, and you can't fill up other people's vessel if you're not filled. And so you have got to work to make sure that you take care of you first. And it's hard, because you have got to feel like you are worthy of taking care of yourself. And again, we all struggle with feelings of unworthiness. And then as Black women, I think we're just used to bearing the weight of the world on our shoulders. And we just do. We learned it. Sometimes, regardless of our situations, we've seen different people just handling it all. And we just feel like that's our role. Like Black women, young girls, we are raised to take care of ourselves, be in charge. You can't rely on this and that. You can't rely on no man for this and that. And you better be ready to do it. And so you kind of come up and not want to fall short. And you were just always taking care of everybody else. I watched my mother do it. I watched my mother take care of everybody her whole entire life. And when it came down to her actually needing someone to help her, I'm fighting with family to help me. take care of my mother while I'm trying to raise my young children who are still in the house. And you got grown kids and your grown kids and all of y'all still leaning on her for help. And so I don't even want to get into that, but you have got to take care of yourself. And so I'll tell a quick story once. You know how, as we were turning into the decade, and I guess with each decade, we always have these little challenges on social media. And there was this decade challenge as we were coming into 2020 for us to find pictures from each decade. And I was going through my pictures and I was hitting it for the 80s and the 90s. And then when we got to the 2000s, I could not find a picture of myself, just me. It was like for these past
Wow.
couple of decades, it was always about my husband and my kids, my husband and my kids. Like it was lots of family pictures, but just me by myself, it's like I didn't even exist. And that really hit me because I love myself, right? But I'm realizing that I went through this whole period where I had just become absorbed in this family that I had created. And it was never about me. And so as we pulled into going into the next decade, we come into the 2010s and the 2020s, I had regained some more of myself. Of course, my children had gotten older by then and, they were more independent. But there was a phase when it wasn't anything but them. I was just Justin Lewter's wife and Jaya, Jayla, and Jasmine's mom. And that had become my whole identity. I was Theodore and Darvis Sexton's child. There was so many different things, but I was missing being Kim. And I would say I just got to a point, social media helped because I started reconnecting. So for me, it was different because I left home and I'm living in North Carolina and all of my family was still in New York City. And so it was easy for me to throw myself into my family and try to be that, the wife and the mom and to have that perception, but it wasn't fun. I went on in 2009, was it 2009? No, 2008. I guess it was 2008. I planned my 20-year class reunion and for the first time I started hanging out and doing things without my husband and my kids on my hip. And that was so important for my evolution because I didn't realize that, wow, you can enjoy yourself and have a good time and not be wrapped in this identity of being somebody's wife and being somebody's mother. And I think as little girls, we can't wait to the time when we are a wife and a mother. Well, at least my generation and how I came up. And then we kind of lose ourselves in it. And then you start feeling like, if you're not somebody's wife, something's wrong. And if you don't have children, something's wrong. If you are a wife, it's just like nothing is ever right because the grass is always greener on the other side. But it's important for you to be a little selfish sometimes and to just tap in on yourself. And when I started doing that, I actually was able to enjoy life a little more. But I had to learn. I had to figure it out because you don't want to let anybody down. And again, we're raised to believe that we got to carry the weight of the world. But sometimes, you know what? You deserve to be a little selfish. And somebody should carry you. And you get to that point and yeah, and you start taking advantage of it and you don't feel bad about it because you know that you have extended yourself and done as much as you can for those around you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Um I have a comment that I would like. So I was taking my little notes. I have a comment that I want to say to that, add to that, and I also want to get to the chat because there's a question, but I also want to give some shout outs. Yes, I totally agree with you. Women, especially black women, we take the way of the world on us. Um, and I also believe that's also conditioned because if we go back to our ancient ways, we was taught, our community was the Holy Trinity, the the father, the wife, the husband, the wife, and the children. Um, but going throughout slavery and the Atlantic slave trade, when the black man was being ripped from us right in front of our face. I hope this is okay to talk about this because I know you're running for Senate. you know,
No,
um,
we running on a campaign of truth. So go ahead and speak the truth.
okay, all right, great. So we watched our men be ostracized. We watched our men be castrated. We watched our men, be hanged. All in front of us. And that was done on purpose. It was done on purpose. To divide the man and the woman. So once the white man moved the man out, out of the picture, us as women back then, we had to take on everything. We had to take on the role. So that has been passed down from generation to generation. So it's like encoded within us. Um and just like you said, we watch our mothers, so especially when we in the environment that we come up in, and especially I know for me, I excuse my language, I'm getting a little passionate. I have came up in such a hard environment. So it was either I eat or be eaten. So when I met you back in those days, I was between both a softy and a hardy. And it was like, okay, I can't show my true loving side because if I do, I'm going to be food out here. So then you walk with this armor and you start to get this identity. Now we get into my next comment when you said identity. Now we start to get this identity that's not really not us, and then moving forward with the next identity, when me and my husband split up after 20 years, I said to myself, well, who am I? Who was Etoy? Because my whole identity was attached to his. What do I like? What do I like to do? And that's when things started to go a little bit south for me because I wasn't living the way I wanted to live. Me and him is the best of friends now, but give thanks to your husband, Justin Lewter, for being so supportive of you when you said, "Let me have my own identity." Kudos to you, black man. And I said now that we're gonna get that's my segue to get to the comments because he was my homeroom teacher.
Yes.
And I want
Did
to
he
say
make a
shout out to
comment?
you, Mr. Luda. Yes, he did. He said, what he said? He said dropping jewels.
Okay,
And of
okay.
course, he would say dropping Jews because when he was my homeroom teacher, and I also come from a family, with education was very important as well. My uncles and aunts used to make us read books, and then do an essay on it. And they would have to check that. We had to do compositions and things of that nature. But they also was conscious. I come from a conscious family. So when I never told Mr. Luda this, when he used to be in there talking about the black man is a supreme man, I just feel like, okay, I feel you, Mr. Luda, because this is what I was getting at home. So kudos to you. I see my other homeroom teacher in here, Miss Grant. Hello, Miss Grant. How are you? I still speak poquita español just because of you. So it just feels so great. I'm having so much nostalgia. Thank you to everyone that's in the chat. We have Lala loves it. She said, "Woo, hey, Dr. Kim." We have Lady P. We have my children on. They always my biggest supporters. And also, Lady P question is, this is what I. Oh, and we have Ish also. And to everyone else that didn't comment, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Lady P has a question for you. She
Okay.
says, question: when you have been filling up everyone's vessel, that's all you know, then what?
Mm. You have to be a little selfish and hope and pray that all those vessels that you help fill now have something to deposit in you. And so, um, I don't like, there's no magic for this. You just have to believe that you are worth it. You just have to believe it because you can't afford not to take care of yourself. I think one of the things that we're talking about now more as a society is self love and self care. That was not a common conversation when I was a young woman. It was not. Again, people will have you believe that you were selfish for wanting to take care of yourself. But I'm here to tell you that it is selfish for you not to take care of yourself because then other people can't have the best of you. And so, yes, all you may know is helping other people fill their vessels, but you are no good to them if you're not full and full with good stuff. Because a lot of the times we are resentful, like we're doing all this great work, but we're resentful that we have to do it. And I am guilty of that myself, of just being out there and doing it because it needed to be done and resenting that nobody else was doing it. But when you start doing it because you recognize that this is really for me, because again, the community is not going to be any more healthier than you, and you start recognizing that this is really for me, so I got to take care of me. And by taking care of you, you are taking care of all of those other people. And it might feel a little awkward at first, but once you figure it out, and you force some people to figure out some things by themselves because you're not doing it for them all the time, it will all work itself out. So it's hard, but don't discount how important you are.
Ashe, Ashe. Ashe. We had a little lag going on. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Yes, it's delayed, but that's why I was just
Okay.
waiting. I said, "Oh, let me say,
Um.
okay."
Okay. So she said, thank you so much for the wisdom. And I want to say I agree with you 100% because not sure if you know. I'm not sure if I told you when we was had our conversation. I had a nervous breakdown, and with that nervous breakdown, it was so detrimental. It almost took my life. Even to the point they had put me in the Kingsbrook mental institution. I was only in there for 4 days, but they knew I wasn't crazy. They just knew I needed a break from life. But that came from me always taking on everyone else's problems, me always helping everyone else, me always looking out for everyone else and not looking out for me. Um, when I went in there, I said, okay, I know I officially hit rock bottom and I have to change. I have to. It's a must. If I want to live, I have to think about me first. And what I will say also, Lady P, is that when you start thinking about you first, you're going to see who's really there for you and who really cares for you and who really doesn't. And when people start being removed from your life, say thank you, because they was the ones that was sucking you dry, sucking you dry.
Absolutely.
So when people start moving out of your life, when you start thinking of yourself, say thank you. And you're gonna start feeling yourself being so filled up with your energy and your eye shade that you need. It's okay. It's okay to take care of you. I know your story because she was not sure if you know, doctor. She was a guest on my show a couple of episodes ago, and I had to pull all my sacred sisters from the Queen of Fuwa camp to come in and just wrap her up and just pull her together, because she thinks that she didn't have a community. So I'm so grateful that she's on here tonight, so you can see, Dr. Kim Sexton Luda from everything that she has triumphed through, and look at her now, And also you, Lady P, you doing such great work out there, in the community. She's a community activist, she's an artist, she's always showing up for everyone else. So I really want you to just resonate with this with this episode and really pull yourself together to have self-love for you. We have another comment. Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris says, "Hey, remember Anthony Harris? He said my
Ah,
junior high school
265.
265 family."
Yes,
We
yes,
in the building,
yes,
we in the building, we in the building. So yeah,
yes. And it
I just
is
want to
it
say
is
thank you so much.
awesome. Yes. I was gonna say it's
Yeah,
just awesome. It's awesome that you can have this, like, who you attract. You got your former teachers on the line, you got your former classmates on the line, you have your current peers, you have everybody, and that's just incredible because I know that this is 30 years. This is 30 years ago when you graduated from
yes.
265 and moved on. And the fact that you were able to maintain this, I cannot tell you, what my teachers are doing from the seventh grade. Okay, I cannot tell you, but the something about you that keeps people connected and the
Mm-hmm.
light that you shine. And I just
Mm.
marvel at seeing the work that I've seen you do, and even hearing your story, because I told you this when we talked before. It is okay to say I'm not okay, and that's something else we have to learn as Black women. We have to learn, and we get so caught up with getting all pretty and making ourselves look right, and making sure that what people see is what we want them to see. But nobody knows that you're not the only one dealing with depression. You're not the only one feeling to a point where you are breaking down and you need to check out and check in somewhere to kind of regroup and rethink. That is so common, and I love the fact that we can have conversations about that today, that you can talk about, I had a breakdown, that you can say it, and that women like me can understand because we've been there. And although that may not be the side that everybody
Mm.
sees, it's so important that we recognize that everybody has been there. No one will tell you, like, there have been times when I went through bouts of depression and I just stayed in the bed. I got up, I went to work, I made myself look great, came back home, got right back in the bed, and I spent years depressed. And as long as I had something purposeful to be working towards, I would get up and do it. And then I would get right back into that depressed state. And I'm not even saying that I'm out of that state yet, but I noticed that I was also putting my household in that state. So my daughters were actually living through my depression. It was
Mm.
what was becoming normal for them because that's what they saw. So why wouldn't they just climb in the bed and do these things as well? And so we, as evolved women, we have to be willing to talk about it. We have to be able to say that I'm not okay. I am not well. If you ask me how I'm doing, let
Mm-hmm.
me tell you, I'm not well. I'm feeling terrible. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm afraid and I don't even know why. I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with that. And we got to get to a point where we could still look good in the flesh, but we know that our heart has issues that other people can't see. And we have to stop feeling like we are going through alone,
Mm-hmm.
because we are all going through. So,
I say, girl, you is preaching. You are preaching. It's funny that you should say that. It's funny that you say that because I used to say people don't understand what it takes for me to get here and for me to show up at 110%. They don't know the battles that I have to go through just to get here. And you just like you said, we put ourselves together real nice and put on a smile and laugh, but people are hurting on the inside. And I did not know that until I started to open up about what I was going through a couple of years ago. And that's what made one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast, because we are all, like you said, we are all connected and we are all going through the same thing. And that's where the healing come from, to know that we are in community and that we can lean on one another. and push, one another. So I just want to say thank you for that. Do you have any last words that you would like to say? Where can people find you? How can people vote for you? When is the let's get into the good stuff,
Yeah, so let's do this quick cheesy political plug. So I am running for Senate District 34 down here in North Carolina, and I know that there are probably viewers from everywhere. But don't think that because you don't live here and you can't vote for me that you can't support this campaign, because your support is immeasurable. And so I need people to check out my website. It's kimsextonluter.org. Take the dash out of the name you see there. It's just kimsextonluter.org, and look at ways that you can help. We need financial contributions. And so if you out there, you got a little change and you can make a financial contribution to this campaign, do it, because I'm running against someone who's got big money and he can do what he's got millions. So he's not worried about that. Me, I'm running off of the love of my friends and family and trying to gain that notoriety so people know my name. And so every little bit helps. And so I'm asking people, hit up my website and make a donation to my campaign. But if you can't make a donation, what can you do? Follow me on social media and like everything I do, share everything I post, and help get my name out there. That's an easy way that you can help, by just sharing, because you never know whose news feed you will get my information into. So go on social media, follow me, like, share, comment, engage, and help me get my name out there across the whole nation. I know folks in North Carolina, everybody does. So just keep saying my name and hope that it gets into the right path. And then there's other ways that you can, if you are local and you're here and you want to volunteer, you want to knock doors with us, you want to send postcards with us, you want to call bank. There's so many ways. Maybe you are a web designer or marketing and you're like, you know what, I want to help you design your next social media post, or to help you on your website. Just think about what kind of talent you can have. And so, like they tell you in church, we want your time, your talent, and that 10th, and those treasures, the money that comes with it too. And so in any of those ways, you can help support this campaign and help me become the first African American person, the first woman to hold this Senate seat in North Carolina. I believe I can do it. And I'm going to do it. I'm about to change the face of politics in this Senate district here in North Carolina.
Woo! The first African, the first black, the first woman. First of all, you already won. That's number one.
There you
You
go.
already won. You feel me? Cause you there. You doing it. You running side by side, doing the work. Like you won already.
Yes.
I'm so happy. I'm just so proud of you. And we have a few more comments. Miss Grant, I know her name is Maritza, but she's always gonna be my Miss Grant. Fort Greene forever. This is a true testament of being a product of your environment and how you can overcome it. Kim, you have given so much and you are so ready to be the next senator of District 34 of North Carolina.
All right, all right.
Thank you,
That's my
Miss
big
Grant.
sister. Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you, Miss Grant. I
Empress,
love
thank
you.
you
Thank
for
you.
your
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
wisdom.
you.
I'm so enlightened by you.
Yeah.
Stay blessed. Yes. And as Etoy was saying, I
Thank
don't know if
you.
a lot of people heard this, but yes, she started off as my student. And then we realized that this is my family. Like she is down with the
Yeah.
Sexton family. She came and told me, she was like, Miss Sexton, I know
Yes.
your family. And she started dropping all this stuff. I was like, wait, so this is my little cousin who has evolved into this
Yes.
wonderful Empress Etoy. And I am so excited to have been able to share this time with you this evening. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. That That my cheeks hurt. I'm glad I got lip gloss on because I would have smiled too fast. My lips would have cracked. They bleed. So we have whatever what radio ish. He says, is that Charlotte, North Carolina, where you're running at?
So we are right next door to Charlotte, next North Carolina. We are Cabarrus County. My district covers Concord, Kannapolis, Midland, Mount Pleasant, Harrisburg, and other parts of small municipalities right outside of Charlotte.
Okay, thank you. And Lady P said, she said, I follow you on both. Yes, ma'am, I am on it. And thank you, Mr. Luda. It's still gonna be Mr. Luda. He said, claim it because we know she already won. We already won it. It says thank you.
All right.
So I just
All
want to
right.
say thank you so much. Thank you for coming and blessing the stage with your wisdom, your knowledge. Please go out and vote for Dr. Kim Sexton Luda, who is my big cousin, who I am proud to say, yes, this is my family and who is doing big things for the community. Um, I appreciate you. I am very humbled
I
and I'm very, very grateful. I really am. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for showing up the way you are showing up. Thank you for your testimony. And I say that, and I know I said it a billion times before, but I'm going to say it a billion and one time because black woman, period, but especially as black women, need to see that. We need to see more of that. We need to see more of us so that we can know, yes, it can be done. So we can have a recollection of, hey, I seen her do it, so can I. She overcame this, so can I. And you are that. And I always say, I know you doing your big thing, but I always say, did you celebrate yourself? Did you? And this is a question for you. Did you
okay.
celebrate yourself?
So, I mean, today I'm
Celebrate
about to.
yourself. Do
I'm
something for
about to.
yourself. We spoke about, self-love. Um just the fact that you made it here and you're running, you already won. Just to get through that door, and you're going to win. I believe that because you are doing the work and
Right.
you are showing up for everyone else. But make sure you celebrate you every, I don't care how small or how big it is. Celebrate you, please. I celebrate you and we all celebrate you. Please celebrate you.
Absolutely. And I will heed those words from my young sister here, Empress Etoy. And I just, if I can leave these parting words as I get ready to log off here and go watch this presidential debate, which I'm not sure is supposed to start at 9 o'clock. It's a little after 9, but I just want to encourage everybody, no matter where you are, don't get discouraged by the crazy things that we see happening in the nation and in politics. Um, there's a presidential debate
Mm,
tonight. It's so interesting to see that we actually have a convicted felon who's going to be on the ballot for presidency. Is bizarre, but let's talk about what that looks like. Let's talk about what that looks like for the brothers and sisters that we know who have convictions and who are being denied rights. Because if
mm,
this is not a time for us to be out there advocating for second chance and re-entry for people who have been involved with this justice system, then we'll miss the boat. We'll miss the boat. If they let this fool run for president, then we better make sure that others who have convictions under their belt get the same rights and privileges as this man. But I do want to say that don't get caught up in these national things going on. Make sure you're paying attention to your local politics because that's what matters. Those folks who are representing you in your city and in your town. And let's make sure that we don't get so frustrated that we say we're not going to vote. you need to get out there and vote, and you need to know who your local leadership is. And so, as I bid you farewell tonight, I just want to encourage everybody to make sure they're registered to vote, and not just registered, but you and your whole family, everybody that's 18 and over. If they're going to be 18 by November 5th, then they can register to vote now. And just make sure we get out there, because get we can do away with some of this foolishness if we go out there and vote. We can't decide to stay home. I know sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I need to stay home, but you can't stay home. You have to get out there and vote. That's what's going to get Kim Sexton Lewter elected here in District 34. That's what's going to get those folks in Brooklyn elected, those folks in Queens and in Charlotte and wherever you are. So make sure you get out and vote.
I say thank you. Y'all heard her. Make sure you get out and vote. Thank you so much. And go ahead. I know you got to go watch the presidential debate. And I just want to say thank you again. And I
Thank you for
greatly
having me.
appreciate you. Take care. I'll talk.
All right. Bye-bye,
It was my
everyone. Thank
pleasure. I'll talk
you.
to you soon.
Okay.
Take care. Yes, that was the amazing Dr. Kim Sexton Luda. We still have some more. We have thank you, Mr. Luda. I love you more. Thank you for everything. Peace and love. Peace and love. And thank you, Lala. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. So, y'all know how I do it. I always say, have you done anything for yourself today? Have you done anything for yourself today? Oh, he said, what's her IG? Hold on one second. Give me my phone. Her IG is. Do you want them to have the Kim or the doctor? Wait, I can't hear you. Oh gosh, I gotta bring you back on just for 1 second, just for that.
Okay. Okay.
You want them to
Council,
have
can I write in the
Kim?
chat? It's Kim underscore Sexton underscore Lewter number 4 NC Senate. Kim Sexton Lewter 4 NC Senate, but just an underscore between Kim Sexton and Lewter. And I don't know how,
Okay.
like, I
Thank
don't
you.
see the chat on this end, but I will put it in the chat.
Okay.
But if you Google Kim Sexton Lewter, all of those Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff should come up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, we just had to bring her back on. Shout out to my kids. Shout out to my daughter Kaka, who's standing right here. She acting all shy. If y'all have been getting these notifications, that is her that is sending you the notification, sending you the link. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on. I just want to say shout out to her. She set up the whole studio for me. Shout out to my son Jameer. They are my assistants. They always help. They always come through. When I came in from work, they had everything set up. Jakai had my makeup over there so I could get it. She had my whole setup going for me. But the jewelry, the spiritual water, she had my crystals laid out. Thank you. If you don't tell your children thank you, tell them thank you. And just like Dr. Kim Sexton Luda said, and I said this before in my previous podcast, her children had went with her through the depression. And so did mine. And I also said in my last podcast, I put my trauma on my children. So yeah. Thank you for tuning in. So we're gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna put in the chat Dr. Kim's. I'm gonna put here her handle. She just put it in a private chat. I'm gonna put it here now. Here we go. at Kim underscore Sexton underscore Lewter for NC Senate. There we go. So let's get up out of here. Next week we're going to be off because it's July 4th. I'm going to be resting and getting myself together, taking some sacred rest. It's been a long month. June has been very, very challenging for me. So that's going to be me doing something for myself. Again, and I'll always say, is there anything that you always wanted to do in your life that you haven't done? Is there anything that you wanted to do in your life but you was afraid to do? Is there anything that you always wanted to do in your life but you had baggage or you had trauma or you just felt as though you wasn't capable? I challenge you. Have you told yourself you love yourself today? I always say, and I always end like this, every day we get up and we have obstacles before us. Every day we get up and we have to show up and show out. And more than likely, we show up and show out for everyone else. Every day we get up, you got to go to work, or if you run a business, if you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a husband, if you're a wife, we are running, 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 running. And sometimes we don't even have enough time to think. We're going to work 8 hours, 10 hours a day. The commute is about 2.5 hours. What time are you really spending with yourself? Then you have to spend time with your family. What time are you spending with you? So I challenge you. I challenge you to tell yourself, I love you. I challenge you to do something for yourself today. I challenge you to say no to everyone else and yes to yourself today. Try it. It may feel a little uncomfortable because you're not used to saying that. You're not used to doing that. It's okay to say no to everyone else and yes to you sometimes. I challenge you. If I wouldn't have did that, yeah, I wouldn't be watching my podcast right now. So I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for tuning in every single week. Thank you for your patience. You're going to see me make mistakes. You're going to see me laugh. You're going to see me cry. You're going to see me go through the motions. You're going to see my internet lag go in and out. But you know what? I used to build I have built a prison on perfection. So when one little thing didn't go right, I would have anxiety. Oh, this didn't go right. That didn't go right. And also sometimes I wouldn't get started because it wasn't perfect. I wouldn't get started because I didn't have everything that I thought that I needed to have. So you're going to see me be a human being. This is why I say this is a safe place and a safe space just to be yourself. You're going to see me stumble over my words. Sometimes I have a speech impediment. I stutter. That runs in my family. I talk fast. But guess what? If I would have let that stop me, I wouldn't be a motivational speaker. I wouldn't get booked to do motivational speaking and spoken word and you know perform my poetry. I wouldn't do none of that if I would have let that insecurity hold me back. Guess what? I'm not the only one in this world. So if someone see me still triumph, persevere through the triumphs, persevere throughout the adversities, and still move forward, maybe I can motivate someone. And then that person can motivate someone. Maybe I could save someone's life. So again, I challenge you to do something for you. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the channel. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the host and the channel. All information, content, and material of this podcast is for informational purposes only and are not intended to serve as a substitute for the consultation, diagnosis, or medical treatment of a qualified physician or healthcare provider. Likewise, all information, content, opinions, and materials of This podcast offer informational purposes only and are not intended to be treated as legal advice, nor as any attorney-client relationship created herein. Like I always say, I just put this up just to protect myself and my brand. But I am a registered behavior therapist, and we just had a doctor's in the house. Is Brooklyn in the house without a doubt? Thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate you all. I'll see you next time. Make sure you go love on yourself. Peace.